Everybody to this international virtual summit with an expert panel of 8 speakers we have tonight from different parts of the Asia Pacific region this evening. My name is Steve Noakes. I'm your moderator for this event, which will last not longer than about 90 minutes. I am based in Australia, so I'm going to speak in the English language tonight. And I speak with the Australian version of the English language, and our Aussie English sometimes is a bit difficult for some people to understand. So hopefully, I will be clear enough for all those listening in tonight. These webinars are organised by the Institute for Tourism, and Mr. Razor does a wonderful job pulling all these together with speakers from around the world. And sometimes many thousands of people join in on these webinars. Some will join us online directly now on the Zoom. Many will join on other platforms such as the website or the Facebook or Instagram. And so we welcome all those participants. And at the end of this webinar tonight, the total presentation will be uploaded onto the website for the Institute of Tourism, and you and your colleagues will be able to access it at any time from the website. Our topic tonight is about community-based tourism and how it can empower local communities. And it's being conducted this time with tremendous support from our colleagues in Sabah, which is a magnificent destination in the tropical regions of our planet. And the speakers from who are organising the International Business Events Forum in late February in Sabah will contribute towards the end of this webinar tonight to give you some more information about what's happening in Sabah with a community-based tourism fair, and which will hopefully, apart from sharing ideas, will help stimulate further development of community-based tourism in Sabah. Well, now our speakers tonight, first we'll start with the CEO of the Pacific Asia Travel Association, Mr. Noor, will join us, followed by the CEO of the Sabah Tourism Board, Julius, and then Professor Noel Scott from Australia, Professor Jenny Chan from the University of Sabah, Malaysia, and then Mr. Ajay, who's the president of the Travel Agents Federation of India, and also the president of the International Institute for Peace and Tourism, from which these webinars grew. Followed number 6 speaker is the president of the Indonesian Tour and Travel Agencies Organization, followed by Bill Carter from Australia, who has an extensive background in resource management and community-based tourism areas. And then we'll finish off with our colleagues from Singapore and Malaysia, particularly in relation to focusing on the opportunities that will come from the tourism fair at the end of February. So, what is community-based tourism? It means different things to different people. And in my case, here in Australia, I'm involved with a business called Binnaburra Lodge. It's been going for over 90 years, and it's very embedded in a community of shareholders and in the local community. And it's one model where you could use many of the characteristics of community-based tourism to explain the nature of that business. A very different model of what could be determined as community-based tourism also is a business I'm involved with in Indonesia called Eco Lodges Indonesia, where we own and operate 4 lodges in adjacent to protected areas. And those lodges are very much about building the skills, capacity, and awareness of local communities to engage in ecotourism as a form of biodiversity conservation. 2 very different environments, 2 very different models. Both of them, though, have many of the characteristics often associated with community-based tourism. So, what are some of the key characteristics that I've seen over many years in this business when it comes to community-based tourism? It involves local communities. There's different ways that the ownership of the land and the infrastructure can be organized. There's different models of management at the destination level and at the individual enterprise or community level. There's a need to make sure that there's a net economic benefit that accrues to the local communities. And very importantly, the visitor will want an authentic cultural experience, and also in terms of the ability to understand more about the heritage and the history and the natural resources and the utilization of those resources in the destination. Now, all those experiences, all those things add up to creating the visitor experience, but they need some sort of prevailing conditions to apply. And we need to look then at the relative political structures and power structures, government structures within the destination and within the country, the particular cultural context. It might be at a national level, a provincial level, a local or regional level. The languages that are used by the community and by the industry and by the various visitor segments that come to the destination, the the knowledge and the skills and the attitude of the local people and all those involved in the tourism supply chain that are going to be involved in bringing visitors to a particular destination. No destination is going to work unless there's transport, sea, air, whatever it's going to be. But people need to get there, and then there's an issue of who controls or owns the infrastructure and the transport services and what benefits that might be able to be accrued to local communities. And critical these days is access to technology, and that's technology infrastructure, um, and skills to use that technology to be a part of a global tourism system. Now we've this seminar is actually called the community-based tourism, and there's the CBT acronym is applied also to concepts of community benefit tourism, and there are many other variations on CBT that have entered the lexicon of tourism over the decades. And that comes back to us an evolution that I've seen in the last 20 or 30 years when community-based tourism was being discussed a lot. It was very much associated with the pro-poor tourism agenda of helping, of using it as a tool to help reduce poverty levels in communities. But then different models arose where communities could benefit from tourism and didn't necessarily have to have the ownership of it because they haven't got the access to the capital to be the investor in the resources. But once again, there's many different models, and we're going to have our speakers will share some of those insights in our webinar tonight. I was just reflecting today on this webinar, and back 18 years ago, um, with some colleagues, we published this book called A Toolkit for Monitoring and Managing Community-Based Tourism. And the focus of that publication was about the monitoring. If you're going to have investment and policy in relation to community-based tourism or a community benefited tourism model, it's very important that it's able to be monitored for effective management. And there was a lack of tools to do that 20 years ago. And so this publication with the support of the Netherlands development agency called SNV, we published, and every now and then I go back and have a look at it and refresh myself. Times change, opportunities change, technology changes, but there's a couple of good concepts in there. If it's of interest to you, the link is on there and you can download it when you are ready. Now that's just my introductory comments. I'm going to stop share now and invite Noor as the CEO of the Pacific Asia Travel Association to share his slides and give his presentation. Thank you, Noor.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yep. Okay. First and foremost, thank you, Steve, for the introduction, and thank you to Institute of Tourism for having me today. I'm not sure why I have the subtitles under my screen, but I guess that's quite all right. So good evening from Bangkok, from Pacific Asia Travel Association of PATA. For those who are not familiar with PATA, we are not-for-profit international association which promotes responsible tourism to, from, and within the Asia Pacific region. Our membership comprises more than 500 members around the region and also across the globe, coming from the public sector as well as the private sector and SMEs, and also youth and educational institution. So what we do is we integrate benefits to our members, especially the trade sectors, in developing the responsible tourism. And I think Steve has mentioned quite a lot about the community-based tourism, or what he called now as the community benefit tourism. But all in all, I think what I'm going to share with you is some of the program and activities that PATA has undertaken over the last few years, especially during and after the pandemic, because I think the community at the heart of the tourism industry plays an important role to the development of tourism and reaching out to the benefits. So obviously, when tourism is community driven, it becomes a tool for cultural preservation, economic empowerment, and environmental stewardship, as Steve has mentioned early on. And from what we are seeing, about 65 to 85% of profit stays within the community. When we talk about the community-based tourism and how it impacts the society from the social empowerment, cultural preservation, economic benefits, and also environmental stewardship. And as I mentioned early on, I would like to share with you some of the initiatives that we have done. So from the perspective of the Pacific Asia Travel Association of PATA, we have done a project with a funding agency from the European Union, and this initiative has been done immediately during and after the COVID-19 itself. So we have done a project with Swiss Asia, which is about the greening of Thai tourism, which is a very much community-based. During this project, we did a lot of training, not only in Thailand, but also in some of the destinations within the ASEAN region and the Pacific region, where we talk about how the community can learn about reducing food waste and reusing and also plastic waste in tourism business, because it's very important for the sustainability. In collaboration with the designated areas of sustainable tourism administration in Thailand, in particular, and some partners like the Thailand Tourism Authority of Thailand, we have identified about 30 community-based tourism villages to implement these sustainable practices. This is well received and has reached the grassroots level and also the communities. And through our events, we have two flagship events that PATA organizes every year. One is a PATA Annual Summit. This year, we will be going to Istanbul in Turkey in April, and we have our trade B2B exhibition, which will be organized in August. That's called the PATA Travel Mart. In all our flagship event, as well as our thematic event, in particular, what we call the PATA Destination Marketing Forum, we have included the element of community-based tourism, whereby technical tours during these activities is focused on community-based activities, which evolve around the sharing of the best practices. So, for example, like last year when we had our PATA Destination Marketing Forum in Phetchaburi, in Thailand, we have 3 of our technical tours that really give the impact and sharing of what the local community has provided. In a few years ago, we actually had a program in Sabah as well. So we thank Sabah Tourism Board for being part of our program and allowing us to see what their local communities could offer to the international delegates. So for this year, our PATA Pata Destination Marketing Forum will be going to Chiang Rai, another destination within Thailand that will also focus on the technical tours that I've already mentioned earlier on. Not just from the funding agency and events, we have also looked at the what we call the capacity building. This has becoming quite a popular request from our destination members. We have rolled out a few capacity building training that reach out to the local communities in particular. Like recently, we did the AI transformation training in Sarawak. We also had something similar in Macau and also in India. So this is what we've been doing and bringing in the expertise from all around the world to share with the local communities. And all this effort that we are doing is very focused on the sustainability, focus on digitalization, how they can actually improve their delivery, also capacity building that I've mentioned. And we're also looking at one of the challenges that tourism overall are facing, especially with currently the tourism overload, and some call them over tourism. Therefore, how community can be more resilient in terms of tourism and involved in a more genuine marketing when they talk about community tourism. Finally, I think just a bit of a recommendation here that when we talk about community tourism, especially from the trade sector point of view, I'm happy to share with all of you that we at PATA, we know that destinations, the communities or the travel and tourism fraternity, they are looking at many ways of identifying the tourism index, whether they're looking at the tourism arrival or international visitors arrival as their benchmarking. Some destinations are looking at the economic impact. At PATA, we are coming up with a new methodology, still in working phase though. We like to call that as the Meaningful Tourism Index. And this indexing will look at about close to 70 to 80 different parameters and benchmarking, which will also include at what are the benefits that the community will receive from the tourism. So we're not just looking at the numbers of tourism arrival, but more than that. So this is my quick presentation this evening. I hope it makes sense because from the perspective of PATA, definitely we look at how the community-based tourism can provide the benefit to the tourism overall. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Noor. That's much appreciated. Everybody to note, with the speakers, the profiles are on the website for the webinar, and also in the chat room, there's a link to each of the speakers. So that saves the time to go through a lengthy introduction on each of the speakers. But as we put a new speaker invite in, you will see a link to their profile if you wish to get some more background on them. I'm going now to move on to Julius who's the CEO of the Sabah Tourism Board in the wonderful country of Malaysia.
Thank you.
And Julius, if you could share screen with your presentation, thank you.
Yes, Steve.
Okay.
Okay, thank you to Institute of Tourism and of course to Steve for inviting Sabah Tourism Board to share Sabah perspective in terms of rural and community-based tourism, share prosperity and inclusiveness. Yeah. So again, this is an awesome journey for me because I don't have any tourism background at all. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but the journey towards developing an awesome community-based tourism by adopting all these 17 sustainable goal for Sabah is again another legacy. This is again the content that I plan to share. We started in 2014, very young initiative. The pilot project, the necessary framework that we need to put in, the journey, the outcome, and moving forward. As I mentioned earlier, if you look at this picture, this is again another setting in our pilot project in Tuaran, one of the district in Sabah, whereby it's chosen as one of the pilot project beside Kota Belud, another district in Sabah. And if you look at the picture here, this is again in Kedamaian, one of the district. Amazing view, backdrop of Mount Kinabalu, the highest peak in Southeast Asia. Yeah. What framework that we introduce in this beautiful state of Sabah is that we have 28 districts in Sabah. So within the district, we set up District Tourism Action Council, headed by the district officer. And within that district, we also set up District Tourism Association to support the District Tourism Action Council. And within the villages, more than 600 villages in Sabah, we also set up community tourism within the villages to actually support that framework, the foundation and so on. On top of that, for the ministry level, we have joint committee. Yeah, Ministry of Tourism, Culture, Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Rural Development, and Ministry of Housing and Local Government for the licensing. Yeah, we need to have this working in a holistic manner rather than in silo to actually added value to the development of rural and community-based tourism in Sabah. Then when all the framework has been set up, we follow the 9 steps. This is actually originated from the idea of Professor Amran Amza from University Technology Malaysia. Number 1, we need to assess community needs and readiness. Are they ready to embrace tourism? If they are not ready, we go on to step number 2, to educate them, to make sure they understand what tourism is all about. If not, the resistance to change is very, very high. Yeah. And then number 3, the very important one is we need to identify the local champion within the village for them to actually become the captain, the driver for that initiative. Then number 4, we prepare and develop community organization. For example, in Sabah, we use association or we use cooperative as a business platform. Number 5, we develop partnership with Sabah Tourism Board in terms of marketing, with NGO, with local government, with any stakeholders that can actually help them to achieve the desired outcome for community-based tourism. Number 6, we adopt integrated approach. For example, surrounding villages, like 6 to 7 villages, we integrate those products within that particular spectrum of villages. Yeah. Number 7, we plan and design quality product, value for money product. Of course, in the villages, we do have culture, nature, and adventure product, but we plan to combine it in such a manner that tour operator will come and package it. Yeah. Number 8, identify the market. They work together with Sabah Tourism Board to identify whether that particular product is suitable for China market, Korea market, Euro market, and so on. And number 9, we implement and monitor performance. We also actually try to introduce Asian standard so that they can actually do cross audit within CBT and CBT. Number 9, of course, opportunity for improvement, for value for money proposition. Yeah, all the 9 steps in a brief so that we can have a constructive or integrated approach towards achieving the desired CBT. And as Pata CEO mentioned just now, of course, human capital is very important. Not only a quality product, but the human capital, the soft skill within that parameters of a rural area, rural community is very important. Upskilling and reskilling, what are those training that are relevant to them? Best practices, introduction of best practices, probably adoption from Vietnam, adoption from Thailand or Indonesia, and so on. And we also introduce mentor and mentee, those community that already being well-known or already being well-equipped with those necessary knowledge, they can become a mentor to other new breed or new players within the villages that they want to actually involve into community-based tourism. We also introduce different types of tourism to villages so that they understand, because 28 district will entail different USP for them. And the combination of all those types of tourism, we call it integrated tourism. However, we still use ecotourism as the pillar, because from ecotourism lies responsible and sustainable tourism. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, sustainable tourism, we introduce also the triple bottom line of sustainability. It's not only about profit, but they also need to protect the environment, the planet, and empower the people. Yeah. And we also encourage community of CBT to adopt one or two of these goals. For example, Sustainable Communities Goal number 11, life below water, life on land, poverty, zero hunger, and so on. And it's a very impactful, actually, towards achieving income gap between urban and rural tourism, because most of the CBT happening in the rural area of Sabah. And not forgetting, we also equip them with the necessary training, how they can use all social media to position rural tourism product or community-based tourism product in the rural area of Sabah. Again, as I mentioned earlier, these two pilot projects, district of Tuaran, district of Kota Blut, all the pictures are actually from that particular area. Very beautiful. You need to come here and visit. And 2023 and 2024, this is again more or less the estimate income from that particular 18 district. We have 28, only 18 district were registered. It's about more or less like 1.5 million US dollar for that particular. It's not small, a lot of things to be done, but I think we need to keep the ball rolling to achieve a better or a greater outcome, maybe 10 or 5 to 10 years from now. Yeah, instead of only income, they also generated job opportunity. Like 2023, about 755. 2024 was about 850. Yeah, job opportunity created. And they also received quite a number of achievement from Asian standard, Asian community-based tourism standard, Asian homestay standard, and so on. Yeah, but for me, the glaring thing is that one of the village in Kinabatangan, famous with wildlife, they received this UNWTO Best Tourism Village in Spain in 2021. It's a very beautiful village, a very structured community-based tourism. And also one of the remote area in Sabah, they call it Suk or Batu Lunguyan, where all women, they produce a beautiful handicraft and they achieve the World Craft Council Award from UNESCO in 2022. Yeah, and being Sabah, I think become the focal point, the referral point for other state in Malaysia. For example, Terengganu, Melaka, Johor Bahru, Pahang, and Sarawak came over to Sabah Tourism Board, and they want to learn how we do it. Yeah, so sharing is caring. The more people doing this, I think the more socio-economic enhancement can be imparted to the local people. By 2030, we actually plan to achieve 80% of our CBT are in compliance with Asian standard. Yeah, a long way to go. Hard work need to be to put in place, but I believe when everybody focus on one goal, one vision, it can be achieved, as Steve mentioned just now. And CBT, I also introduced CBT, community-based tourism, but I changed it a bit. C is the courage, and B is the belief for the rural community to transform themselves. And before I end, if culture, adventure, and nature are your passion, probably Sabah is definitely your destination. Thank you, Steve.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julius. That was a very comprehensive look at the fantastic destination that you are managing. You made particular reference to the ASEAN community-based tourism standards. So for those from other parts of the world who might be interested in that, I've put the link in the chat room if anybody would be interested to learn more about that. Julius, would you be kind enough to stop share, and we'll get Noel Scott ready to share his for the next one. Once again, everybody, the profiles of the speakers will be shared in the chat room, and also you'll find them on the website. Our next speaker is Professor Noel Scott. He sounds a bit like me. He's from Australia, so he speaks Aussie English also. And Noel has an extensive background in research and in practical projects in relation to many aspects of tourism. And tonight it's community-based tourism. Thank you, Noel.
Thanks, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, it's wonderful to be here, and especially to talk about Sabah, which is a wonderful part of the world, rich in wildlife, as well as scenically beautiful with a rich culture. So I agree with the previous speaker. What more could you ask for? What I want to do is talk a little bit about how we can develop Sabah from based on experiences that I've had working with Professor Bill Carter over many years, and Bill will be talking here today. So lots of things to see in Sabah, including the proboscis monkey, which is here in this photo. So there are sort of two sides to community-based tourism, and of course, there's lots of baggage that comes with the word or the name community-based tourism. And Steve, you were alluding to this with the distinction between benefit and based tourism, community-based tourism. And I agree with that. Uh, tourism is a business. Okay, so ultimately, when we're talking about community-based tourism, we're talking about making money for the community. We can do lots of other things as well. We can hopefully support the UNWTO, the United Nations targets for sustainability. We can help to promote the lives of disadvantaged people in the community. Those all things are important, but in order to do that, in order to achieve those, you need to make money. So how can you get a community to make money, remembering that these people, many times people in the community, are not business people. They may have been farmers and very successful farmers, but that's quite different to running a service business for international or even national tourists. So you need to take the resources of the community, the surrounding environment, especially in Sabah, the birds and the orangutans and all the wonderful things, and somehow turn them into an engaging narrative. You need to make something that is different and unique, and that's hard. So one of the ways to start is to talk to the local people in the community and get them to tell you their stories. And the best stories are ones which are unique to the area, and as well have some sort of human interest to them, something that's unique and other people will want to. And there are ways of doing that. Often when you talk to local people, they say, no, there's nothing for us to talk about. There's nothing unusual in this place. But if you start probing, there's lots of things. So the second area that the community needs is engagement with the tourists. They need to be guides and be able to explain their land, the area. And of course, that requires, as a business, it requires being able to speak language and training. How you get around that in a community can be hard, but it necessarily needs to be developed. And then there's this issue of engaging or helping the community to be good hosts. And I hope Bill will tell you the story later about his tourist village in Ternate. But in many places, we've seen destinations or villages trying to work out how to engage and develop the quality services needed for to receive people. And one interesting example was found in Sri Lanka, where they actually had a competition with various communities to demonstrate good quality cooking. And they modeled it on the MasterChef program in Australia. It was quite successful. So if you're sort of trying to think outside the box and how do we get local people to raise the quality of their product, perhaps that's just one example. I think, have I been drawing? I don't know if I've been drawing on the screen. Anyway, then the second approach, and this sort of fits more with the idea of benefiting the community without necessarily having guests or tourists staying in the village. Remember, the purpose of tourism is to make money for the community. So, from my mind, there's nothing wrong with having the community owning a coffee house or a stall on the highway, which might be some distance from the village. So the point is, one of the problems of community-based tourism is that often the villages are remote. And so perhaps we can turn that around and have the business where the tourists are. Certainly there's opportunities for using local food in the industry, in hotels and so on. Good examples of spices in Sri Lanka. And one of our participants that I'll talk about later, she commercialized black rice in Kalimantan. How am I going, Steve? Too long?
3 minutes now.
Okay. Incentives for protection. The other thing that strikes me about Sabah is that it is trading on its wild animals. And of all the people who would know the wild animals, it would be the people in the local communities. And there are good examples of people or communities in other places that have earned quite good money from wildlife viewing, especially, say, in Papua, where they can see this bird of paradise. So now we come to the problem. How do we get the people with in the villages with the skills they need in order to run a tourism business? Okay, well, what skills do they need? They need to be able to run a business. They need perhaps to manage projects. We might call that a product development project or a service improvement project. They need a bit of entrepreneurship, and certainly, and I think the previous speaker mentioned this, you need people with passion, people who are not just engaged in tourism, but it's their life. And you need to be able for people to know the quality standards. Now, all of those things mean that every situation is unique. Often what we've found is that you need to go and identify the combination of person or village, resource and market that makes sense. And it's very difficult to just give an overview. So the idea of having some engagement with an expert who can say, yeah, I don't like that one, but why don't you try this thing? I think that's a good first start, and perhaps that's what's happening in Sabah at the moment. So anyway, just a call out. So a lot of these ideas come from a Australia Awards Indonesia short course, which has been running for about 8 years or so, but the same course was running in both Indonesia and Sri Lanka. And we've had a lot of success with this. We've had about 250 participants who have graduated from this course who are all doing wonderful things. Okay, so that's a little bit of an example of a training program, as well as some thoughts on the idea of community-based tourism in Sabah. Thanks, Steve.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Noel, for that, your contributions and your overview, drawing on many years of experience and also on those projects like the Australia Awards projects in Indonesia, which are just fantastic to help communities identify an opportunity, get motivated, and do something that's really meaningful for their communities.
Oh, Steve, just one last thing. I noticed that one of our participants from the Australia Awards Indonesia is actually online now. So maybe you can wave. And I think
Who-
you're going to be talking about community-based tourism tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Noel. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah, how are you? Okay, let's we're going, if we have time at the end, we'll do a little question and answer, but let's just see how we go with the 90 minutes. I'm going to move on now to Professor Jennifer Chan from the University of Sabah in Malaysia. Jennifer, are you there to share your screen? Rosa, we might
Hi,
need some.
Steve. I'm
Oh,
here.
here we go. Good.
Okay.
Jennifer, can you share? Oh, there you are. I know that Jennifer did her PhD in Scotland, so I'm looking forward to your version of the English language with a little touch of Scottish in it, Jennifer.
I'm a Malaysian now.
You're a
Okay. So,
Okay. Yeah, can you
yeah,
share screen?
let me share my slides, please.
Yep.
Can you see
Okay.
can you see my
Yep.
slides?
We've got
Okay.
it. Can you make it click on the view from slide number 1 so it's full screen?
Sorry. Okay. Uh,
On
give me a
slideshow, up
minute.
to
Give me a
slideshow
minute.
from the beginning.
Is that better?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
You got
that's
it.
good. Thank
Okay. Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation from Institute of Tourism. And good evening, good afternoon, good night, good morning to everyone. Welcome to my session. So I'm going to take you to a special area called Kinabalu UNESCO Global Geopark with respect to how we empower community-based tourism. So Kinabalu Park has been just gazetted as a UNESCO Global Geopark. So the community-based tourism is very crucial. Within that particular um, area. So what I'm going to share with you is what are the issue and ways forward to strengthen and to empower this community-based tourism within Kinabalu UNESCO Global Park. A little bit of the concept of geopark. Geopark was formed with the aim to preserve ecosystem, landscape, and well-being of the local community. So community involvement within the geopark is very important. And in terms of geopark development framework, we're looking at the conservation issue, we're looking into economy development and community development and their participation. So in the case of Kinabalu National Park, which is gazetted as a UNESCO park, which is very considered as a very valuable geological heritage resources. So this Kinabalu UNESCO Global Geopark consists of 3 districts: Kota Marudu, Kota Belud, and part of the Ranau. And within this huge geopark, there are 14 geosites, 7 biological sites, and 7 cultural sites. So this gives the local community a great opportunity to develop community-based tourism. Yeah. So as we know that community-based tourism can be considered as a pathway towards building up sustainable livelihood and bringing to enhance the well-being of Kinabalu UNESCO Geopark, right? So three critical factors that when we talk about empowering community-based tourism, we need to look at the context or the context and the quality of the local community, in the sense that towards the extent of the knowledge, the population of the community, and on top of that, the place itself can become a contributing factors that leading to the empowering the local community towards sustainable tourism. And finally, what type of resources within that community that it has. In the case like Kinabalu UNESCO Park, we are talking about geological heritage, geological landscape. We are talking about cultural heritage. We are talking about biodiversity. So these resources has a very strong connection in terms of empowering the community-based tourism, because the geological, the cultural heritage, and the biodiversity implies that the local community must have all this substantial knowledge in terms of empowerment, right? So in the case of Kinabalu Park context, empowerment here, it means changing the belief and the behavior of the local community towards a positive impact and building up the trust. Because through my research, we found that when we go into these three places, many of them are facing conflict among the local communities. They sort of having very little positive towards promoting geopark, and also little trust among themselves, how they can actually empower themselves and making Kinabalu Park as a community-based tourism. So in terms of knowledge and guidance, they are very much needed. And another thing within the context of this geopark, sustainable practices and growth is a key for to maintain the Kinabalu UNESCO Global Geopark with respect to the community-based tourism. Yeah. So I want to share with you, this is some of the finding from my research for the local community, why they are not involved in geopark. In the case of Ranao district, many of them stated that they are lacking of knowledge, they're lacking of awareness in terms of turning this geopark as one of the community-based tourism. And there is very much lacking of human capital competent. In the case of Kota Marudu, again, knowledge and awareness of the concept of geopark, geotourism as leading to a community-based tourism. On top of that, there is an issue of governance and limited initiative to commit. They have very little initiative to commit because of the belief that whether if they spend a lot of times and turn this Jopa as a community-based tourism, is that going to be successful, right? In the case of Kota Belud, again, the knowledge and the awareness. And another aspect is the locality. Locality here means that the context of the location, that as in terms of access is very difficult for the tourists and for themselves to promote this community-based tourism. Yeah. So another finding regards to ways to develop Geopark in a sustainable manner. Again, the local community are facing the issue of corporations and how to promote tourism. There's very little funding from them, and also issue again on human capital development. This implies that the local community need more training, need more skills to enhance their knowledge and competency in managing this community-based tourism. So in the case of Kota Marudu, the similar one, finding is an issue, cooperation with other agency. They have this difficulty and ways to cooperate with other government agency, and then they see that community-based tourism within this JOPA actually give them very little employment opportunity. In the case of right now, they very much needed awareness program, collaboration, community collaborations, promote employment opportunity as well as training. So in that sense, within the Geopark, the finding shows that ways to develop Geopark, these are the critical area or issue that we need to address in order to strengthen the community-based tourism within that Geopark. Yeah. So in summary, what are some of the key issues that from my research with regards to this community-based tourism within the Geopark is that that is very lacking in terms of relevant knowledge and skills, especially in terms of sustainable growth. Because in the case of Kinabalu UNESCO Global Geopark, sustainable growth is a very important aspect. Secondly, relevant intervention program and funding is very much needed for this community-based tourism, and not many community actually involved and engaged in the tourism sector. A lot of them also facing the issue of how to collaborate, how to reduce conflict among themselves and other agency. Another key aspect is that they do not know how to create values based on the existing geological landscape, cultural heritage, and biodiversity. What they do is just promote whatever they have. But in fact, it has the opportunity for them with the proper skills, they can actually add values based on these resources. And what is more important is the governance, because in terms of geopark, this is considered as a valuable heritage rich asset. So the local community found that there is no proper governance and proper guidelines. For example, conservations, guidelines, protected areas, and cultural heritage preservation guidelines. Yeah. Another important aspect is they know that part of the community-based tourism must move towards sustainable growth, but then there is very little knowledge on how to move towards sustainable growth. Finally, very important issue is that there must be a monitoring and enforcement committee within each community to ensure that the community-based tourism are contributing to the more positive impact and generate more economic benefit to the local community. Monitoring and enforcement is pretty much important to reduce the negative impact. Yeah. So for finally, I'd like to share some of the sustainable community-based tourism. So one of the critical area is that we must make sure that creating a sustainable social, cultural, and value-based community-based tourism, and community must continue the learning process, and also learning process in terms of getting the right knowledge, the relevant training, the intervention program, and especially turning their perception and attitude towards a more positive way. And another thing is the entrepreneurship innovation, as the first speaker mentioned, that entrepreneurial skill is quite important, because in the context of this community-based tourism within UNESCO Geopark here, they are actually considered as a small and medium-sized business operator. Yeah. Another one is the in terms of empowerment, right? We need to make sure that more to strengthen the participation and the involvement of the local community in terms of decision making, taking in charge, yeah, to protect wildlife, to protect preserve their cultural heritage, yeah. And finally, of course, the sustainability impact need to be ensured that being introduced in this community-based tourism, particularly in this context, Geopark. Yeah. With that, thank you very much. Steve.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was very interesting contribution from the geopark's perspective. And that is an example of where there are different layers of governance that would need to be considered in the use of, on the access to and the use of the land. So much appreciated. Thank you. Would you mind? Oh, good. You stop share. We're going to move on now to our next speaker, who's the president of the International Institute of Peace Through Tourism, Ajay Prakash from India. Before I ask Ajay to share screen, just a reminder to read through the chat column, because there's lots of good ideas and links being exchanged in the chat area, and some people are very interested to link up with other participants on this webinar tonight. We've got about 800 people registered from around the world, and that's coming to us. Those participants are from most of the ASEAN countries, the UK, Australia, from across Africa, the Middle East, the Caribbean, and South America. So we've got a very good global audience. If you want to read the chat, go through the chat and see some people with similar interest to yourself. Ajay, may I ask you to share screen?
Hi, Steve. First of all, apologies for being late.
No
I
problem.
got stuck in the meeting, and I also have a very hoarse throat, but okay. So I don't have a screen to share. I just have a few points
Okay.
I'd like to make.
Yep.
Number one, thank you for having me here. It's great to see some old friends here, Diana and Burjit, and of course, a lot of other people. So unfortunately, I've missed, what's been said before, but I would merely give you my little 2 bits on why community-based tourism is very important. The first thing is that it allows people to take ownership of whatever is being done. Now, that's a very important aspect, because you cannot, and Dr. Talib Rifai, the finest Secretary General that we have had for the UNWTO, used to say, you cannot have 5-star tourism in a 2-star community, which essentially means that if you come in with big hotels and the only thing that the local community gets is the jobs of the waiters and the cleaners, well, that's not doing anything for the community. And we all do know and believe that tourism does have a higher paradigm, which is to connect people, to uplift them from poverty, to heal wounds of conflict. All that will not happen unless the community takes ownership of the tourism product that is being offered. And we have a phenomenal example of that in the Caribbean, where my colleague Diana has been running this amazing program called Villages as Businesses. And it's all about community. So these are the kind of models that we really need to get out and get more people interested in, and for them to see the benefits of doing something like this. So as I said, the first thing that community-based tourism does is to give the host community or the destination the capability and the potential and the opportunity of taking ownership. And when that happens, you find that the entire community benefits, because number one, the money stays. It's not sucked out by some big, multinational conglomerate. If it's community-based tourism, the money stays, and it actually helps the community to prosper. And the third thing that I find, which can be a very, very powerful thing, is that it gives the youth, and especially, when we're talking about not so economically well-off people, it gives the youth an opportunity to discover avenues which go beyond street corner violence and, stuff like that. Because it's being done within the community, by the community elders, perhaps, there is an inspiration, there is an opportunity, and that's what it's about. At the end of the day, I mean, all of us are like, we're going to pass on. It's the younger generation that needs to believe that there is a role for them, a constructive role for them to play. I was in Vietnam just now. We did this Taffy convention where we took 300 travel agents from across India into a province called Ninh Bình, which is in northern Vietnam, fairly close to Hanoi. And they have this amazing place which has been developed into a very, very beautiful tourist site. It's called Chang'an. Now, Chang'an is a system of caves, of caverns, of small, big, which are like set inside a water body, huge water body. And there are the only people who take you there are the women. And it's the local community, it's a tribe there that was doing nothing, but has now found this employment. So there's like 200 or 300 boats over there. And these women, it's amazing. They row for 2 hours at a stretch. It's quite awesome. But what it's done is because the community got involved, A, the water body is clean. B, there is employment opportunities for them. So this is the kind of tourism which is like homegrown, stays at home, the money stays there, is the kind of tourism which is really the best. I was in Sabah a few years ago. Again, we did a taffy convention in Kota Kinabalu. Now, that was again an amazing place. And the last one we did was again in Malaysian Borneo, in Sarawak, in a place called Kuching. Again, what we found in Kuching was that there are handicraft makers, again, indigenous tribes, who are doing this thing because there is an avenue. So I live in Mumbai. Next to my house is what would otherwise be called a lovely fishing village. Unfortunately, despite our best efforts, we haven't been able so far to get the locals there involved. It could be a beautiful place with cafes and on the waterfront. We're still working on it, but it will happen. And when it does, again, you've created a new experience and the benefit comes to the community. So this is my 2 bits on why I think it's important that instead of going for the 5-star hotels, we all look at how we can sustain community-based tourism, which in the long run is really the way to go, because that will also be sustainable. If it's happening in your home, you make sure it's done right. If it's a big, property where you have no ownership, it's somebody else's problem. At your doorstep, it's your problem. So that's the way to go.
Right.
That's it, Steve.
Great. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for, we've got some participants tonight from Vietnam, and I'm sure they were very interested in your reaction to the experience at Ninh Bình when those very fit women are making prosperous progress out of tourism sector. And thank you also for your contributions to the International Institute of Peace Through Tourism. That's a major task that you take on, and also, of course, your great work with the Travel Agents Federation of India, because given India is one of the big emerging inbound and outbound travel nations of the planet, the more engagement the rest of us have with India, the better. We're going to move on now to Selamat Malam, Ibu Nunang from Indonesia. Are you with us?
Yes.
Aha,
Okay.
you're on your phone out in the
Yeah.
street somewhere. How are you tonight?
Fine, thanks. Thank you very much for
Good.
your invitation. Yes.
Where are you in Jakarta?
Yes, I'm in Jakarta now.
Okay. Are you going to use a PowerPoint? Yes, you are going to use a PowerPoint.
Yes.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Nunang, we cannot hear you.
Okay, so right now I will introduce our association first, okay, before we start. Asita, I'm the president of ASITA. ASITA is Association of the Indonesia Tour and Travel Agencies, established 7 January 1972. Please come to our celebration, 16 of February. Come to Indonesia, everybody. I'm very appreciate. And then ASITA members more than 7,000 travel agencies across 35 provinces. also our vision and mission to enhance the role of member and the key player in the national tourism, especially increase the revenue and developing globally competitive business capacity. Sure, our member, because it's all is travel agencies. So I'm together collaborate with the Ministry of Tourism, especially right now our ministry is the woman and vice the Ministry of the Woman. So we are very powerful for how to make outbound and inbound tourism in Indonesia and then to other country. So for the today, also we will explain about current trend in the tourism industry in Indonesia. Sure, Indonesia, for example, we have the tour, business and leisure. Especially if you come to Indonesia, as in Jakarta, some people will have a business. But if we will go to Bali, there will you can check you can join, or for example for the package, the very good package for the leisure. And then also the trend of business travel with personal leisure, professional can work from travel destination while enjoying a vacation. Example here, you can see Bali, Seminyak, Nusa Dua. It is maybe sometime everybody in the world know Bali but don't know Indonesia. But it is the last time, yeah. So right now, I hope all the participants and also know about Indonesia, because our president right now, Pak Prabowo, always go to abroad, especially starting for 2024. So, and then also Indonesia is very good for health and wellness tourism. Tourism focus on physical and mental health, such as yoga, retreat, spa, and wellness therapy. This is very good, for example, in destination in Ubud, Bali, also in yoga retreat, Puncak, Bogor, Taman Safari. It is Puncak, is mountains, it's very nice, it's very cold. And then current trend in tourism industry in Indonesia, ecotourism, because you know tourism that priorities the preservation of natural, the local culture with focus for sustainable and minimal environment impact. You know, because also I'm studying for tourism in industry in tourism industry, so it's mean ecotourism. Some people, every country is different. Like you like a mountains, beach, ecotourism. So in Indonesia, there, if you want to go the very culture, and then it's very fantastic in Bali. And if you want to go to ecotourism, you can come to Raja Ampat, West Papua. Also in Bromo Tengger Semeru National Park in East Java, and then also Komodo. Komodo, it is very good because it is the seven wonder Komodo. And then also market potential of community-based tourism. It is Indonesia is very huge affiliate in Indonesia. We have more than 74,000 villages, and then also Ministry of Home Affairs, Republic Indonesia, its village has significant and potential to be developed into community-based tourism. Destination only natural resources, but also culture and tourism attraction. And then also we can, you know, in Indonesia also its market is potential. The small and medium enterprise sector in Indonesia also play crucial role, many involved in the production of local goods and services like handicraft and other culture products, which are highly after by tourism seeing authentic experience. And then also in Indonesia is market potential or community based on tourism in Indonesia. Increase in tourism arrival and 2025 projection. Foreign tourism arrival in 2024, Indonesia record 10 million foreign tourism arrival in 2024, which is lower than the previous figure of 16 million. And 2025 target is government target 15 until 16 million foreign tourists to visit Indonesia to increase tourism sector contribution to national GDP. In fact, sometimes Indonesia also still more promote because our population almost 300 million people. So it's mean for the inbound tour, sure, I hope still more. And then I hope we achieve next 20 million people will come to Indonesia. So it is also we collaborate with government support for community-based tourism. Publication of book by Ministry of Tourism, also information tourism awareness group, also government support for community-based tourism, inaugurate Desa Wisata Indonesia. So we have a word who will give the encourage village to innovate, develop, sustainable and competitive. So in 2024, the total more than 6,000 villages from across Indonesia participate in ADB. It is through to this program, the village receive both national and international promote attraction tourism. This is we can see in the picture in the Great Desa Wisata 2024. It is very nice because it is from the home. We make a renovation and make it, you will convenient come to in the village. It is like the home, but it is very convenient and very good view. You can see in our picture. Asita rules also in developing community-based tourism, especially Asita, what I said, we always promote every country, Indonesia to all over the world, America, Europe, ASEAN, Australia, because I need, and then because I'm from industry, especially the president of Asita, sure, Asita very active to promote community-based destination tours, initiative, and then roadshow, sales mission program, international market in Asia, what I said, Middle East, the Pacific, Europe, American, and Africa. Also, the program aims to introduce unique local destination, including community-based tourism village, to global audience through strategic collaboration with local and international stakeholders. This initiative global awareness of Indonesia's sustainable tourism potential. We can see also Asita rule is developing community based on tourism, collaboration, and regional tourism development. Asita facilitate collaboration between local communities, the government, and private sector to develop community-based tourism region. This initiative primarily focus on economic empowerment, culture, preservation, and active community involved in managing and implementing community-based on tourism with positively impact local well. Important to Indonesian and Malaysia. Indonesia and Malaysia, both countries are rich culture, heritage, and then also unique traditional that attract tourism from all over the world. CBT offer a way to ensure tourism benefit local community while maintaining their culture integrity. For economic impact, CBT initiative create for job, both local business and reduce poverty by aging local community in the tourism value chains. Conclusion, community-based tourism as a part of a forward by working together, Indonesia and Malaysia can set a global example of how CBT can be powerful tool for sustainable tourism, community empowerment, and cross-culture collaboration. This is cross-culture is very important because I'm study also in Japan for especially cross-culture. Because if we know cross-culture in itself, we know all the habit, and then we can good hospitality when everybody for all over the world come to Indonesia. And then call to action. Let us continue to strengthen the partnership between our country, ensuring that tourism benefit and local community, preserve culture, and protect our natural heritage for the most important generations to come. This is thank you very much for your invite me. I'm very appreciate because again we must focus for tourism, especially because also we can make benefit, and then also we can collaborate everything. And then once again, thank you very much, and then good evening. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Bu. You did very well on your phone. That's wonderful.
Thank
You know,
you.
you highlight when we talk about CBT initiatives around the world, given the geographical size of Indonesia and the population base, and the Ministry of Tourism, you know, talks about doing initiatives CBT for 6,000 communities, and that will continue to grow. It's a very strategic approach that Indonesia is taking towards CBT. And so congratulations to the work that Indonesia is doing in that area. We are now going to move on to our next speaker, Dr. Bill Carter. Bill is from Australia, so like me, he sounds like Aussie English. Bill, do you wish to share screen with your slides? Thank you.
Steve, before we do, can you hear me? Because I'm using a new headset, so I don't know if it works.
Yes, I will hear you okay.
Look, I want to thank the previous speakers because you've introduced a lot of things that I was going to say or at least refer to. And you'll find that this talk is going to focus a lot on the 5 capitals. So that's already been introduced in some way. It's based on experience I've had with successes and failures in CBT. And this is the reflections on that, what I think is needed for CBT success. Right at the start, we need to understand and assess community asset. What resources have they got? And as one of the speakers said, the willingness of the community to participate. And I've seen projects where from top down, CBT has been attempted without the community necessarily wanting to be part of it. And that requires understanding a difference we often have, that often communities have a different expectation of what they'll get out of CBT than what funders might have. We've talked about entrepreneurship, that's vital. But I think it's important to think about community tourism initiatives in a broader sense and what they're trying to achieve. I'll try to summarize those in those words. Well, what does it involve? Yeah, it's investment of capital. As Noel's pointed out, and others have also, that the tourism product is a business, and we can't lose sight of that. If it doesn't make a profit, return on investment, then it's not going to be a success. We also need to understand that there's a high level of risk involved. And it's a risk to communities, their culture, their well-being, that if we're not careful, we'll be lost. It certainly needs innovation. And I think the big thing to do with innovation is that point there, daring to be different. I think good CBTs are different and they're not copied. The more copies, the more competition, the less success. And to understand when we talk about capital, it's a plural. There's multiple types of capital that need to be invested. Too much in one slide to cover in the short time I've got here. But they're the sorts of things, they're the capitals that we've got as a baseline. We need to understand the strengths of the communities in terms of those things. The hard one is the ones coming up on the side. Where does the financial capital come from? It comes from those other things. And where does culture fit in? To get financial capital, to reinvest into community-based tourism, requires the red bits there: time, effort, ingenuity, innovation, entrepreneurship.
Bill,
And the
excuse me,
community needs to.
Bill, can you hear me? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
Can you click your share button?
Oh, haven't I done that?
I'm not
That's a
seeing it.
bummer.
I'm not sure if others are.
I don't see your PowerPoint as well. So just click share. Yeah.
Hang on. Here it comes. Well, you've just all my good slides.
Well, we had your lovely face there talking.
I don't want that. Sorry, I've quickly got to go through them.
Still can't see a share.
That's what I was.
Bill, it's not sharing.
Still not sharing. Hang on, I've got to end it again.
We were obviously engaged
Try
for
this.
commentary. Yeah, now.
Now, can you see it?
Yeah, but not full screen. Can you click it as full screen? Yep, got it.
Sorry, now I'm to failure. Sorry, can I just go back one of these? I want to go to previous. What can you see now, I'm afraid?
Double slide, double.
Oh, God.
Right click. Right click.
Right click.
That's okay. That's
Someone
okay.
help
I
me.
mean, it's quite
Right
visible.
click. Hide presenter view. Okay,
Yeah,
you want to go
Ah.
previous? Right
We got
click,
it. We got it.
press previous, and press again because you have a lot of animation.
Yep. So that's what I was talking about with regard to the capitals. And communities have those things if they and can be developed, and they're the basic resources that contribute to community-based tourism. What I was raving on about, they're the things that contribute to financial capital, and culture seems to be a link between people and the human-made items. Financial capital is generated by the red bits there: time, effort, ingenuity, innovation, entrepreneurship. But which of these capitals is a community endowed? And often that varies, and understanding that's vital to success. Failures occur though. And this is my experience, that rarely is it entrepreneurship. Time is usually available. There are pressures on that. Communities seem to be able to want to put in the effort, but sometimes ingenuity is missing. Too much copying going on. As a result, innovation is one of the major things I think makes CBT fail or contributes to failure. What I think a major impediment is this understanding when capitals need to be invested and then maintaining those capital investments. For example, often in developing a CBT, natural assets are degraded. So that capital is not available anymore. This has already been said. When we're talking about things that might lead to failure is not considering target markets and what the market wants. But the one I want to focus on tonight is business status. Depending on where you are on the spectrum, hopefully you can see this, different investment, different capitals are needed to be invested. And I've arranged this in two ways. The top one in grey is external capitals. So capitals being invested from someone outside the community. And internal capitals are what the community has. When we're talking at the start, what are the precursors for success? And people have talked about this. When we're picking a place that can be developed for community-based tourism, are there fundamentals that need to be in place for it to work? And I think the main factor there, which I've tried to emphasize in bold writing, is social capital. The community works well together. Once initiation started, that's when we might get some external input, could be useful. And that's human capital, expertise that can come in the sister community to develop their CBT. Again, I think the major factor that makes it work for initiation of the CBT is social capital, the fact that we have a community working together. But of course, those other things are needed: expertise, natural environment, a little bit of financial investment, and constructions for facilities for tourists. Establishments where the big action occurs. So that's where external capital can help, human and financial. But if we look at what I think is important from an internal capital point of view, it covers all of those things, perhaps less to construct it at that establishment phase. If we don't get that, we won't go to the next step, which is the initial operation, and the CBT fails. We need to get the operation, the initiative, the CBT being sustainable. Everyone talks about that. We know it's a fundamental to CBTs. But my experience, to make it sustainable, it's got to come internal, from the internal part of capital investments. So again, we need strengthening of the human capital, certainly maintenance of the social capital so we don't get conflict and the whole thing breaks down. And then we'll probably have sustainability. The last one there, I think, is often forgotten. We need adaptation. No business survivor does the same thing over and over again. Same applies to CBTs. And in my mind, that's where we do need some external capital to come into play. But mainly, hopefully, by this stage, there's enough internal capacity to drive the adaptation that's needed for the successful long-term operation and sustainable operation of the CBT. And that's where I'll stop. And by the way, all of the photos relate to the project I was involved with in Ternate, North Maluku, Indonesia.
Great. Bill, thank you very much for that presentation of your, brings together a lot of your experience and thinking over many, many decades into a model that can be tested in many different destinations, I'm sure. So much appreciated, Bill. Thank you. We're going to move on to our final speaker, which is actually two speakers. Dr. Aziza from Singapore with an organization called Global Accelerator, and also Datuk Hajj from who's the CEO of the Sabah International Convention Center. Both these women are playing a leading role in ASEAN and further afield than that, incidentally, in terms of the leadership, the innovation, and the motivation that they've both been able to give in their respective fields of work. And it's just great to see them come together and harness their respective skills to contribute even more to our industry. Aziz, are you able to share screen now?
Yes, I am. So thank you so much, Professor Steve, for introducing. And I'm so grateful that we are able to come together. Thanks to Institute Tourism for putting this together. We want to introduce, very importantly, because my role in this whole ecosystem, as many of you would have come to our conscious capitalism conversation on tourism industry. So we are a Shine Go Global is an impact investing community where we bring in a complete ecosystem. It's very exciting to hear all the speakers because we talked a lot about problems and what kind of solutions are possible. How many of you would like to see some action in progress? How many of you like to see that? So we're going to show you some actions in progress. And I know a lot of amazing actions are already happening in other parts of the world. So before I go into giving some insights of how we are working with Sabah as a destination for global growth and bringing in conscious capitalism into play, I would love to get Dato' Haja Rosmawati to introduce. She has to rush off to an event right now because she is the CEO, but she's an amazing woman, inspiring so many people in ground level in Sabah. So she is going to give a quick introduction, and then I'll continue forward on what she's going to be sharing on the about the Be in Sabah event. As you can see my listing, and she has it on her screen. So Be in Sabah is to be in Sabah, why you should be there. Dr. Haja, why don't you take it away?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Aziza, and thank you all. It's very exciting to meet you, although it's virtual, but I feel like I'm with you all. Okay, we are going to have this BE in Sabah. Why be in Sabah? Because we have this business event in Sabah, actually. It's going to be 27 to 28 February. We want to showcase we are in Sabah. If you don't know where is Sabah, Sabah is in the North Borneo Island, in the big Borneo Island. We are at East Malaysia, actually. And we are very strategic. To go to Brunei, just 29 minutes by flight. And there's one district where the living room is Malaysia, the kitchen is Indonesia. So what we're going to do is to make Sabah as the gateway for East ASEAN. We are actually, if you talk about Sabah, we're only 4 million. But when you put about East Asian, that is Brunei, Indonesia, Philippines and Southern Island, Indonesia is where they're going to have this capital city of Jakarta, Kalimantan, and Brunei. We are about 80 million population. So in terms of geography and our landscape, we're more the same. We have the beautiful island, we have the mountain. Sabah has the highest mountain in Southeast Asia. And we have most beautiful diving Sipadan, among the 10 top in the world. And actually we are, in terms of tourism attraction, we are blessed by God. We have the mountain, rivers, we have the forest. We have a conservation area where if you put Singapore, the size is 10 times the size of Singapore, actually. That is Danum Valley, Malay Basin, Imbak. So this being Sabah is just that to showcase another greener area for people to come and see. Not so much to learn, but it's more to share and get together and the potential. That's why I say this visit event actually to open up potential in the East ASEAN, and also we would like to expand the market of Asia Pacific because we are in this region. So that's why I see most of you, I don't think anyone have been here apart from Dr. Aziza has been many times coming here. She came first time, but she will come back like every month. We say if you test the water of Sabah, you will always come back. That's we have more than 48 ethnic groups in Sabah, and we live in harmony, and we are in tourism, oil and gas. We are that diverse in terms of economy. That's why we like to showcase what Sabah can offer, and also we'll be the gateway to the East ASEAN. And not when you are here, you're not only meeting Sabah, while you're meeting the East ASEAN, that's our neighboring Philippines, Indonesia, and Brunei. And also we have the plus Singapore, Thailand, and Korea, Japan. So that's why I would like to invite you all to come to Sabah and have a feel of this nature. And as you can see that our background is nature actually. Our organization at Yayasan Sabah, we start off given by the government 1 million hectare actually of 1 million hectare of timber concession to help the local. But at the end of the day, we're back to the conservation. That's the result of conservation that we have our Danone Valley 5-star resort, and we also help in the CBT where the people in the rural area, we help them to improve their quality of life by improving to socioeconomic and in terms of education and also cultural. So Sabah has so much to offer, and we welcome everyone to come here and experience the nature that gives us from God, as well as the hospitality of that you can give. In Ramadan month, I want to share you, we have a book of record. We serve 850 dishes in no waste. That's why it got the accreditation from the ASEAN Book of Record, because they were here 2 weeks to see why we presented 850, make sure there's no waste. And in the end, they give us the certificate, no waste, because how we manage the food and giving to the needy, as well as to get money from the one who can afford. So that's how vibrant we are in Sabah, and we are really need you all to come here and see how best that we can collaborate and engage in terms of business and also cultural and also our economy. I have to leave Dr. Aziza to continue, but I wish that you all can come here. And I think Dr. Riza, thank you so much for
Thank you so much. I'm definitely will come to your lovely Sabah. I have been, will definitely come back, and hopefully.
Okay. So I'll welcome you very Riza here and showcase you how we are proud to show that how blessed we are with all this nature even from the convention center. You can see the Mount Kinabalu, the ocean, the forest. So everything in Sabah you can see at the convention center. This way we won the best ASEAN convention center just recently from the Asian Tourism Forum. So I would love to all of you to come. We have the nature, we have the culture, the people that welcome you here, and we have potential business. That's why Dr. Aziza is going to bring her friend to come here, because we already opened up the gateway for her to meet up all the relevant people to invest in Sabah. So thank you so much, Riza and Steve, for this, and I hope to see you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you so much. So what we will be doing right now, I'm just going to quickly share screen so you get to see what is the direction that we are having with this whole ecosystem planning. And thanks to Dato' Haja for initiating this initiative. So I want to show you how we are putting together the whole solution, where we are using Sabah as a testimony for the work of revolutionizing business and wellness tourism from Asia. And this is really about impact investing. We are a community for the last 20 over years experience in raising consciousness through programs and quality connections, and we're going into innovative dynamics and also accessing international funds. So this is just an overview. If you want to share one sentence about Shine Go Global, is we are transforming the way people do business, travel, impact lives globally through conscious capitalism. I loved it. Today's session, the keep on repeated conversation was about what? To take serious look at tourism as a business and not to just play around with it. So how can we make serious efforts towards tourism dynamics? By the way, this is one of our mentors. I'm just going to screen through this. You can look at it on the slides later on. We'll be sharing about what we've been doing and the access to international and local funding that we have been working on, and what are the problems currently faced. So all of you have kind of covered this. So I'm going to really brush through this because this is not just a community based tourism problem. This is the industry problem about becoming pandemic proof. And we have nailed down that everything that we are doing, we can talk about all the problems we face. Other than the big issue that kept on coming up is the mindset difference. Raising consciousness is a big one when we look at shifting the mindset, but fundamentally is a lack of access, right? It's a lack to access the funds and strategies for funding. So there is money in the market, but why is the industry not able to access it effectively, especially what we're doing right now? So this is based on our personal stories and our own network. This is all our players in the market. So here we are. We're talking about Sabah as a conscious tourism. This initiative that we have taken is not just for Sabah. It's being replicated in Kanyakumari to make it the Cape Town of India. And we are also looking at other places that we can replicate this model. So coming to the point that we all discussed, the importance of mindset in entrepreneurship, the importance of skilled workers, the innovation and innovative initiatives that need to go into the state. And also collaboration and partnership. And most importantly, understanding and accessing fundings and strategies. So what we are doing currently is creating a complete ecosystem, identifying players. So we're talking about top-down approach. This is not a bottom-up approach when we struggle with the local players and local community people who may not be able to understand the power of economic shift. We cannot go to hungry people and talk to them about the future. So how do we feed them? It's only possible through a top-down approach. So this is the approach that Go Global has taken, and we are creating a community in the cities that we go to. What we have heard today, all the experts in the room, we want to see you in Sabah. Because in this event, 27 and 28, we are coming together to explore how such collaborative efforts can become a game changer for the community in every nation and the region and globally. So this is the ecosystem that we are building based on conscious tourism. This is our own dynamics where it covers all of these important elements in veganism, in vegetarianism, in eco products, as well as the sustainable goals. We all know the sustainable goals is now being backed by what we call the need for inner development goals. So these two, when come together, can really create a powerful synergy. So when we talk about conscious capitalism, bringing into this concept, and I loved it, just the speaker before that, I think Professor Bill, you talked into really wonderful stuff, which is really what we are speaking about. And we are talking about not just strategies for marketing, not just sales strategies on building going to booths and going into all these events and just promoting your company, but there's a real strategy that needs to go into to promoting your tourism. And then there is the social element, which is all the nonprofits. There's so many nonprofits and we know nonprofits is about literally begging for money, and it's not sustainable. And of course, the capital market, somebody just talked about how MNCs can really ruin the way that the community can grow. This is why we are saying we want to bring all three together and play right in the middle. The importance of conscious capitalism is listed here, is everything that all of you have been speaking about, and that's what we stand for. And you want to take a screenshot of this, even though it's going to be shared in the PPT, because we have a download for you. Because in order for you to access funds, there is a need to be investable and bankable. And I'm not going to run through this. This is available in the document that we have sent here. You can actually get on a call with us if you are running a business, to see how you can make your company investable and bankable, getting the right network to leverage on in your niche in your business, and creating a team and a powerful synergy to work on, which I understand many organizations are facing a challenge, especially when it comes to community tourism. And this is our own framework that we have created. We can talk about it sometime soon. I'm going to give you a real life example of how we are building this whole ecosystem from Sabah. If you go to this website, you'll see an event going on. This is done at the Sabah Convention Center, and that was the event last year that got me into Sabah. We went in just as a booth organizer. a partner, and they wanted us to speak as a keynote in the gala dinner event to just share about the power of conscious capitalism. Chi Mag is actually also a shareholder in Go Global in Singapore. So we have created a synergy, and now we are working on all these strategic values because they actually focus on wellness, tourism, and wellness as pillar, where it covers all of humanity and everything that Sabah stands for. So we have actually gone into, they are currently promoting local businesses. Sorry for the typo for the language, local businesses in a big way. So all these events that they conduct promotes local businesses. Every time I go there, I get Sabah tea. So the way that it's being promoted is amazing. And they are empowering local talents, where they are going in to look at what are the various bodies that can work with them on the wellness pillar of the whole ecosystem, and then working on importing talents. For example, when Reza is going, when I'm going, we are all external talents and expertise, and they are, because of this, we are going in and they are importing talent so that they can make it happen effectively. Finally, they are also structuring for investment into Sabah because they're creating a retirement home with this wellness concept, which means it is a strategy that they are working towards together with Go Global to move in. And most excitingly, and this is very crucial, and I saw Diana talk into how she wants to connect and all these 30 villages concept. That's something very powerful. When we are doing any tourism business, is not only looking inward, but what do we have in the country, in the tourism sector that can be exported? So currently the wellness pillar concept, which is an IP, is being exported to India, where we are building our ecosystem. It's being exported to Germany, and they are doing events there. And it's being exported, and that it's not export already. It's going from East Malaysia to West Malaysia. That's being done. So this is the way that the dynamics of this one example of a company in Sabah is doing towards creating this ecosystem. So it is being right now replicated in other businesses that we are looking at to work with. And in Sabah, it's a big one. So I want to also highlight something that Sabah Tourism Board has taken off. Mr. Julianus, are you there? So I would love to invite him to share about something so unique that Sabah has done, and he has missed talking about directly related to community tourism because that's a powerful initiative. Why don't you share about it, sir?
Okay, the program is, we call it adoption program, where we invite hotels, stakeholders, companies and whatnot to actually adopt CBT. One of the objective is to actually initiate training and whatnot with them, or any expertise that you have, transfer the know-how to them so that they can also be empowered by it.
Yeah. So it's a very important one, and you're taking it off, and Shine Go Global is very excited to partner you on that in one, adopt one of the villages and make it happen. And we are definitely excited about Be in Sabah. So, the word itself, to be in Sabah, is crucial because there you can, this event itself, I'm going to talk into it a little bit more as she has left it. And we'd love to have another 10 minutes of your time. Will that do? And if not, you can watch the recording.
Yeah, let's do 5 minutes. Please.
So we will close it off in 10 minutes. So if not, you can watch the recording. Thanks so much for coming as well. So as you can see, this whole event is targeted towards strengthening the business community when it comes to creating events and activities around tourism. We're definitely going to be touching on various topics, and they have segregated into various parts of the business. Maybe I'll just explain that to you, the different topics that's coming in. This document will also be shared in the, I think on your page, right, Reza?
Yep.
Yeah. So it is being separated to understanding about expansion in the market, right? So it's a lot about business events, like Institute Tourism is doing an amazing job doing an online business event. But until we meet up, there's much more capability to develop. So this is like an online to offline. So we've been meeting online for so long. Thanks to Be in Sabah, I'm going to meet Reza offline, right? So that's a very powerful thing. And we are going to meet many of you as well. So the most important part of it is also about talking about the future. And those who are interested in creating events, there's going to be conversations around designing events to make it a successful one. And also industry leaders on talking on retention and talent acquisition, which is one of the most powerful requirement that we talked about till now. on this conversation as well, because, and then of course, today's conversation around conservation in tourism and hospitality and care for the environment, which we otherwise call, it's not just conscious tourism, involves this and more. So we have amazing panel of speakers, and of course, Mr. Gilinis will be talking into deeper, and you can see him live, shake hands with him, and really take on some energy of this amazing human being who's committed to the work of Sabah. Community-based tourism is the topic that he will be covering as a keynote address, and then also innovation, the importance. How many countries have we visited? And every time we speak to the tourism boards and as well as the various stakeholders of the industry, it's always the innovation and creativity that needs to be imbibed, and also what it brings to the bottom line and to create more investment into the country. So this is also being covered in this segment. So we do have very eminent speakers like Mr. Mike, who is also a game-changing dynamics he has done over the years in his work. And Dame Doria, you want to Google her. She has done wonderful events outside of US, staying in US, using her licensing program, not only in Chinese, but also in Japanese. And we are right now doing it in Tamil and many other languages, Bahasa Malaysia. So how do you do events and make money even without going there? So this is actually a powerful tool, and she will be sharing her expertise of 40 years. And of course, Mr. Rude Jansen will also be covering the most important thing that we want to advocate for Asia is to design and programs that really impact and transformational. So this is really exciting for us to work together. And we would like to welcome you to Sabah only because we want to see you. We want to create this ecosystem that can be replicated not only in Sabah exponentially, serving, working together with the Sabah team, but also with the international bodies that will be interested to adopt it in the region. And with that, I would love to open up for any questions that you might have. Yes, I think that somebody's asking about other parts of India. Yes, we eat elephant one piece at a time. No, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not an elephant eater. So we go one at a time. But definitely, one thing that everybody left with earlier on, and they said it, I think it was Professor Steve, you said to get passionate people in the local market. I mean, it can be very tiring if we go to any place and we don't have local players who are passionate about their own place. I will not be, we had huge learning experiences in India and other cities. So we never go to any markets until we get a strong buy-in by the community, by the people in the network, especially the business leaders, so that we can tie it in and make it a comprehensive ecosystem as well. So with that, I want to say thank you for showing up. Once again, thank you, Reza, for the partnership. Shango Global is always excited to work with you, and we look forward to connecting more.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aziz. It's a wonderful way to finish off our 90-minute webinar, which is about 2 hours now. And that just shows the level of wonderful contributions that we've had tonight. We run out of question and answer, but if anybody wants to engage, you can do that through the Institute Tourism website, and the links and the contacts of people will be given there. Look, just in summary, what we've discussed today or tonight is this idea of community-based tourism with wonderful support from our colleagues there in Sabah. But I think some of the key themes that came through were the economic benefits that can come from employment and revenue generation, local goods, and giving an opportunity beyond traditional farming activities for a lot of communities in developing economies. But there's also community-based tourism in developed economies and in urban centres in developed areas, as well as in developing and emerging economies also. CBT gives a shared value. It can benefit households, whether they're directly or indirectly employed in that tourism supply. And that's a good thing. And there's also opportunities to set up community funds so that the benefits, economic benefits, are shared with communities. The social aspect is really critical because that's where the skills and the knowledge transfers can occur. It means that infrastructure, both soft infrastructure and hard infrastructure, can be developed, and also gives the local communities a sense of confidence and pride in their destination so that they can engage more in the tourism economy. number of speakers mentioned the environmental conservation components of CBT. That's critical. There's the expectation from all consumers these days about clean and environmentally responsible destinations. And a critical thing about CBT, in whether it's an emerging or developed or developing economy, is the opportunity for female empowerment. And that's an aspect of the tourism sector that's recognizes that it's the women in those communities that are largely responsible for the services and the supply of their facilities that are there in those communities. And critically, is CBT can really enhance the preservation of culture for very diverse communities all over the world. But and it can also be an instrument to encourage younger generations to stay in the village to learn new skills and generate an income rather than have to leave the village and go somewhere else. So on that note, thank all our speakers for contributing. Thank you for everybody for listening. And you can access the full recording online on the Institute Tourism website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Steve, for wonderful moderation, and all the speakers was really great. And definitely we will be in Sabah. I don't know, I still see lots of people online. If there are any questions, comment. I see also my dear friend Diana from Jamaica. She's the mother of the community tourism. Let's call her. So if you want to say something, Diana, if you are here, or anybody else, otherwise.
I would love to. I think it's a wonderful forum that you have here. I'm excited because what they're showing is that community-based tourism is moving ahead internationally. And thank you very much, Risa, for setting up the International Community Tourism Association, which we have responsibility for the Caribbean. I think that the opportunities are maybe more for 2025. And we're planning to do a campaign, which we'll share with Risa to share with you all, Jamaica and the Caribbean Home of Community Tourism, which started over 48 years ago. Here we started it. And the IPT founder endorsed it, and he is willing to be our patron. So we want to have you guys come to the forum that we're going to have. We're going to have a conference, and you'll get a chance to see what we are offering with communities here, the villages, our business, and we need more support. So I really appreciate this forum. It's wonderful meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
I would love to add on to something that she said. If you're coming to Sabah, you are welcome to promote yourself there. We will set aside a special table for you to promote to the global market. This is something that Dr. Rosmawati Dr. Haja has also promised all of us. So, by the way, I'm a speaker and moderator at the event. I'm promoting because it's passionate to see everybody. I see this as an opportunity. I don't get paid for this, okay? It's just to put it in. Yeah, Mr. Julinas.
Yeah. Let's help each other.
Yes, to help each other. I think it's amazing. Yeah. Mr. Mohana, do you have anything to add on? I think you talked a little bit about. Do you want to add on something? He's from Kuala Lumpur. You can promote yourself, no?
Okay. I'm really interested. So I'm talking about this tourism. I mean, this travel industry. Something that interests me, it is we have a passionate of a country, we have a patriotic, and then we show the country to the world, show the culture to the world. And that is something it's really, really, interesting. In fact, the session is going on. I was recalling some of that interesting place, which is we have in Malaysia. It's like a paddy field. That's another place is called it. Also, we can do tree planting, and also when the birds are migrating, the birds from New Zealand, Australia migrates. It goes to Africa. It stops over in Malaysia. So these are the places. Bird watching, all the things will be done. And there's a lot of beautiful things out there. All right. But the only thing is not brought to the world.
Yeah. So, we need to very strategically move. I will connect you to Mr. Julinas because we are working seriously on the adopt the village concept. which can really add value. I mean, it's working with the MNCs and the bigger corporates, so they can actually come in and we create visibility together.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody want to say anything? So if there are no other comments or questions, I think we conclude this session. Thank you so much. So from tomorrow, everything will be online, including the biography of the speakers and the video recording. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all the lovely people being here.
Yes.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.